Hello everyone, hello, and we are back with another speed lab. This time it didn't take me like half a year, this time. So yeah, we're back after the Raven speed lab, now it's time for Asuka. So what I'm gonna do, I decided that I'm gonna just go through all the characters that are left. I think it's a little bit less than half, if I remember correctly. Might be less than that, but yeah, I'm gonna go through the characters that I have left, and I'm gonna go through alphabetically, basically, and just, you know, do them in order. So yeah, this time it's Asuka. So it was Raven previously because I had Raven planned for a long time, but yeah, from now on I'm just gonna go with the alphabetical order. So it's Alisa, Asuka. I'm pretty sure Alisa is already done. If not, that's gonna be next, because I remember it was done. So yeah, Asuka is today. So Asuka, let's talk about this character, right? And we're talking about this matchup as well, not just the character. So first, a little bit more in general, like I always do, is a neutral play and just talking about the character in general. So Asuka as a character is a very I can't say she's defensive, but basically she has a lot of tools to stop you from getting close to her. Like, you can kind of call that defensive. I can understand calling that defensive, but it's more like a keep out heavy character. Like, kind of treat it like her having either Yoshi flashed or you're too afraid of doing anything, right? Something like that. It's because Asuka has moves like back 3, which to be honest isn't as good as it used to be, but it still exists. So a move like back 3 is very scary because, you know, you can go close, get launched. Something like down forward 2 is also very good to have as a keep out move. You know, it exists. It's amazing. Something like forward 1+2 power crush is this is a super good power crush, right? Heat engage a power crush. Very strong. It is -9, but who cares, right? It even has decent pushback. Very fast. 15 frame power crush is very fast. So all those stuff, and then you have to mention the parries, right? This parry, I think that's a punch parry, and there's a kick parry as well, which I don't remember the input for. There you go, this is the kick parry. So that's scary. Not to mention this exists, which is a high crush, right? So you can't really jab her most of the time to check her because of this. Do hit confirm too. Something like down back 2 also exists for, like, you know, high crushing, jab crushing. So you have to be very careful with this character. Very careful when it comes to like going close and being aggressive. Not to mention she also has a, you know, generic parry, something like this. Just pretty strong because this parries everything and you can't chicken it anymore. But you can beat it with more options. So I guess that's what the Bandai team were thinking, because they gave us options like aerial moves that can't be parried. So for example, something like up forward 3 cannot be parried anymore. It's not parryable. So if they do a parry, it won't work on up forward 3 or other aerial moves. So yeah, you have to be very careful in general when it comes to that. In the neutral, right? That's a neutral game plan. It's for everyone, to be honest, but for Kazuya especially, because when Kaz plays neutral and wants to go in, usually try to do this, right? Go in, hell sweep, go in, down back 4, stuff like that. Or go in forward 4-2. Forward 4-2 is a pretty decent option, to be honest, to just, you know, check the Asuka player. But it's still risky, you know. It's not something that you can just go into, like, I don't know, some other characters that don't have that strong keep out. So yeah, Asuka you have to be very careful of. And I didn't even mention sidestep too. This is a crazy move. So it's a good thing that it's punishable now. It's very good that it's punishable, because it would be way too strong. But it's still a little bit awkward to punish. But that's a skill issue, gotta be honest. For me, I don't punish it that much, but as I said, it's a skill issue. I have to punish it more. It's -13 and you have a very good punish for it, which is down back 1-2. So yeah, in the neutral, just be very careful of all of these tools I just mentioned, like down forward 2, power crush, the sidestep 2. Sidestep 2 mostly will be used in setups, not in neutral that much. It will be used still. But yeah, all these panic moves you have to be very careful of, because it basically stops you from getting close comfortably. So that's neutral. And the other thing is when Asuka player wants to come in close to you. The thing about Asuka coming close to you is that usually they will use a lot of setups and a lot of moves to keep you out instead of coming close. So what I mean by that is something like this also works as a keep out move. Up forward 3 is an amazing move, right? So this is a -3 or a -2 sometimes move that can easily be set up with either sidestep 2 or in general just a sidestep, right? And this is a very, very strong move because it is +8 on hit. And it's a countered launch, right? You can just launch with it normally. So up forward 3 is a great check in general because it's a low crushing move, right? It jumps. It's a jumping move. And it's also a countered launcher that's only -3. And it's decently fast with like being 20 to 21 frames. Usually 20, right? So this is also another keep out move that Asuka players will use a lot. And they will kind of use it offensively sometimes, just come in and use it. Because, you know, why not? The thing about this move, which also makes it very, very strong, is that it recovers very quickly. Ignore the width, right? That's a different problem. But it recovers very quickly. There we go. That was not a punish. Right? That was a punish. But the recovery, like, that wasn't a punish. It's pretty good. So if it whiffs, you have to be very fast when it comes to punishing this. That wasn't a punish. So yeah. You have to be very, very fast. So that's why usually if you want to punish this, you have to do something fast. But even then, it's not that easy in real matches when you're, you know, looking out for so many things. So you have to be careful about this move as a keep out move, obviously. Or as an offensive move as well. Okay. So that's when Asuka wants to come close to you. Usually they will use a lot of this move, right? Or just come close and mix you up. If you're respecting the Asuka player too much without throwing out a lot of keep outs, they will just come close and maybe 1+2 you in your face, right? The normal hit mid launcher, it's safe. And it can get mixed up with either this or this. Obviously these two are slower. Like these are slower than 1+2. But you may still get caught. 100%. So you have to be very careful. Okay, so that's about more in general game plan of Asuka. Now let's go to a little bit more details, right? When it comes to Kaz, there's a lot of stuff that you have to remember, and I will mention them a little bit later. But for now, let's talk about a little bit of a generic stuff. So the thing about Asuka is that her jab isn't the best, right? She can't really use her jab that much. Like a 1-2, for example, or just a 1 jab. That much, because it's not the best. It's okay in my opinion, right? It's not bad or anything like that, right? It's definitely not that good. But in this game, something like this is not as useful. Like, it's okay because it's already 10 frames, it's still +9, right? And it's minus, which is the big minus of this move, right? It's a -2 jab, which is why it makes it a little bit iffy to use, but it's still good enough. It's okay as a check. But yeah, the big minus point is that it's -2 instead of +1, just like it says there. So this kind of stuff won't happen that much, just a 1 jab, but her jab strings are very strong. Which, as I said, the poking of 1 jabs in this game isn't as important as it used to be in Tekken 7. So this weakness isn't as big as a lot of people think. So this 1-1 string is very, very useful. Because, you know, 1-3 is a low mix-up from a 1 jab, and 1-1 is a mid mix-up from a 1 jab as well. So as a round ender, you might be like, okay, if an Asuka player jabs you, you're basically in a guessing situation. You have to guess either this or this. That's a guess. So if you're gonna die with either of those options, you're just in the 50-50 guess for your life after a 1 jab. So that's pretty good. And other than that, this move in general is very good for mind game purposes. Because you can just do a 1 into the 1, or just do a 1 and, you know, continue your pressure. Or do 1-1 and then continue your pressure even though you're -7 because of this. So this final hit is delayable, quite delayable actually, right? Or you can just not delay it, and it's only -5. So if you use 1-1 and just continue your pressure like this, even something like this can be possible, right? This into a low mix-up, or this into a back 4, or this into a mid mix-up, right? Whatever. It can be possible for mind game purposes. That's why it can be very, very good. So you have to be careful when you see this string. The mind game is very, very basic, right? Basically, if you press after that second hit, it doesn't matter if she delays it or not, right? You can get countered. And the thing about this countered is that this is guaranteed. That's guaranteed. Let me just showcase that. Oh my lord. There you go. So that's guaranteed. That's a free heat engager. And the thing about Asuka in heat is that you do not want to be against Asuka in heat. That's the thing about this. I'm gonna talk about the in heat Asuka in general later, but yeah, you do not want that basically. Is this the combo? I'm pretty sure this is not the combo, but whatever. That's still 72 damage. So, yeah. You have to be very, very careful about Asuka and Heat. So you do not want to get countered by something like this. And the delay makes it really, really hard. That's why, as a Kazuya player, usually I would suggest sidestepping after 1-1 instead of doing anything else. So 1-1, delay 3. You do a mash and get countered, bad. If you sidestep, good, right? Now you can punish it if they delay it. So sidestepping after 1-1 is your go-to thing to do. But the thing about sidestepping immediately after 1-1, right, is that you'll get hit by the last hit. You will get hit. You can't sidestep this. So, yeah, you have to be careful. But as I said, this is better because you're not getting countered. It's just a normal hit. Way, way better. No free heat engager. So, yeah, 1-1, be careful about that kind of mind game because it can be very, very scary and very, very annoying as well. But you also look out for this low. Asuka players usually start out with a low. I don't know why, but they do it. If they do a jab, usually they will do a low first, and then they will start mixing up with the mids. So be aware of this. And the low here, this low right here, is 0, so you don't have to worry about too much about the game pressure, unless you respect her too much, right? And it's -11. You can also low parry it. So it's your choice. You can either low parry it or just punish it. But to be honest, Kazuya's low parry damage is so garbage anyway, and the combo is so bad. I don't know. You can block it or low parry. It's your choice. I wish I had a better combo from a low parry, but I guess it depends. If you get to the wall, low parry is better, obviously. Okay, so that's about the 1-1, more or less. And there are strings like this from forward 1 as well, which is exactly the same move as 1-1. It is faster, like this is 20, this is 24, but it's the same, more or less the same, right? Forward 1-3, exactly the same move. So if you block forward 1, the same kind of mind game can activate with this. You know, forward 1, this, or this into forward 1, and this looks like this, for example, right? A string. So yeah, be careful about all these mind games. It can be very, very annoying. Like Asuka is very good at basically making you hesitate. Very, very good, because those kind of strings exist. Okay. The other stuff, which also you have to realize, is this kind of stuff, which is a high crush. So high crushing, not mind games, but kind of setups. So down back 1 is basically the move that Asuka players use. For example, something like this into down back 1 can be used. Like this is possible for Asuka players to use as setup. And if you use a high that's a little bit too slow, let's say you try to do a jab here, right? It won't work. It will work instantly. It doesn't high crush that fast. But it will work if you delay your jab or something like that, right? Because you're hesitating. Let's say you're hesitating. This is not that common of a setup because it doesn't work on an instant jab, but there are setups for this, basically. What they do is they do something that's, I don't know, a little bit of minus. I'm not sure what they do. I kind of forgot. Maybe this, right? Let's say this into down back 1. I think that's a setup. Yeah, there we go. That's the setup, right? That you can't jab check this. So you have to be aware of these kind of setups. Because down back 1, they're basically using it as for two things. One is to hit confirm into a free heat engager like this, right? That's the best thing to do with the character. Yeah, that's not a combo. Good, good. But yeah, they're usually using it for this or the high crush purpose, which is you know, jab crushing or in general high crushing. I think they can crush highs pretty consistently. So you have to be very careful about this. But the second hit here, let's say they mess up the hit confirm and they just do it, right? A lot of Asukas, they might just do it and not hit confirm it. So you have to duck it or just mess up the hit confirm. Duck it and punish it, right? With whatever, doesn't matter, just punish it. With your highest damaging launcher, which in our case was tank 2. So yeah, you have to be aware of that. But the second thing you also have to be aware of is just down back 1. So Asuka players who hit confirm down back 1 don't finish it, right? Obviously they're confirming it. But the good thing in this game, which is new, I think Tekken 7 didn't used to be the case, is that just down back 1 is -10. So if you do try to punish it like in 1-1-2, it will work. That's a punish. If you have the read, right? So that will basically force the Asuka player to finish the string with either the high, or there's also a mid extension. Is the 4? It's a 4. So if you do try to punish with the jab, this will hit you and the high will also hit you. But the good thing about this is that it's minus 15. But I will not recommend electrocuting this. Because the thing about this block stun is that it starts very early. I don't know why it starts so early, but it's a very, very early block stun. So it's awkward to electric. Like, I can't even do it in practice mode that easily, right? Very awkward to electric. It's possible, don't get me wrong. But usually you're gonna be late in a real match, so I would suggest just down forward 1-4. We do have this, which is new, right? So if you want to get punished, down forward 1-4. Or if you're not feeling that confident, you can also down back 1-2. Either of those two will work. Down forward 1-2 you can use as well if you want the heat engager. So yeah, that's gonna be your punish. It's exactly minus 15. Oh, and the one thing that's very important here, I learned this the hard way, is that if you block this, you cannot punish this with a high. No jabs. No back 1, right? Even a 2 doesn't work. Magic 4. Don't punish it with a high. Electric can work because it's an electric and it's almost the same frame, right, as the minus. But other than that, do not back 1-2. It doesn't work. You have to do a mid, like down back 1-2. Even something like, I don't know, 1+2. Just do a mid. Your highs will not work. I mean, maybe some highs will. If you're playing some other character, you can just, you know, check out your options. But for Kaz, down back 1-2, 1+2, down forward 1, those are your options. Okay, so that's about down back 1 as a move, more or less. This is used for, you know, hit confirming. At the wall, it can be used a lot because this will wall splat. Right? That's very scary. And it can also be used for high crushing, as I said. So that's about down back 1 more or less. I think this is one of the best mids that Asuka has, but there's a lot of them. So up forward 3 is also one of them, which I did mention. But let's go in a little bit more detail about up forward 3. So up forward 3 is a long range mid, right? This is a pretty long range mid. It hits from like, I don't know, 2.7, which is crazy. 2.8, not that much, right? 2.7 is like, yeah, 2.75, something like that. So it has a very, very long range. It's only -3, sometimes -2, right? As you guys can see, if it's very far away, it becomes -2. So it's either -3 or -2. And the best thing about this is that it's a counter with launcher, as I already said. Right? This into whatever. I just showcased the combo, down back this thing. Into whatever. So yeah, it's counter with combo. I think it does pretty decent damage if you do like a decent combo from there, but it's just very scary to deal with because it's such a good move. And even if you sidestep it, as I said, it recovers pretty quickly on whiffs, so it's gonna be hard to punish unless you do something fast. Maybe jab, down back 1, something like that, right? So you have to be careful about that forward 3. But the thing about up forward 3 that's the most annoying in my opinion is the minus frames on it, which is -2. So what the -2 means is that Asuka player can do whatever she wants. We can do basically nothing, but she can do whatever she wants. It's because of the nature of Asuka. The thing about Asuka is that something like this is a very common setup, right? I'm pretty sure a lot of people know about the setup. Up forward 3 to sidestep 2. And this kind of stuff, you cannot jab, you can't check, right? It just doesn't work. You can check with specific moves, maybe, depending on the side that Asuka sidesteps. Or if you want a tracking move, like down forward 2 is going to be your best option. But down forward 2ing in a -2 situation isn't the best of ideas, right? Or a -3 situation. You can get jabbed out of it as well, or power crushed out of it. So one of the best options you can do is sidestep with Asuka. But it's very, very important to realize that you cannot sidestep this move. Sidestep 2 is not steppable. It's a tracking move. I don't know why, but it is. Just accept it, right? But at least it is punishable now. So down back 1-2 is gonna be our go-to punish. Down forward 4-4 also works. Or any other punish that's -13, right? But down back 1-2 is gonna be our best one. So usually you block it, punish it. That's how you deal with the sidestep 2. But there are a lot of setups for it. Like, it's not only up forward 3. There's a lot of them. Like, I'm pretty sure you can do something like this as well. 1-1-3 sidestep 2. Right? That's also a setup. So there's a lot of them. Be aware of what's happening on the screen, because Asuka player will literally just throw out the sidestep 2 for no reason. Well, there is a reason, obviously, but yeah. It's gonna be very annoying to deal with. Okay. So that's a very, very strong mid, which is up forward 3. I also mentioned sidestep 2, right? So sidestep 2 amazing. Weakness, punishable. Okay, the other mid, which is very, very strong, is back 4. So back 4 is another mid that's very, very good for Asuka. It's a very strong move, especially in Tekken 8. Because in Tekken 8, counter launchers aren't, you know, that common anymore, but this, straight out 15 frame counter launcher, that's a knee, right? And you just get, you know, something like this, I don't know, whatever combo. It's decent damage for something like a knee counter launcher that comes out in 15 frames. It's pretty decent damage, especially since you can get to the wall as well. But that's not the only thing, right? Back 4 is a 15 frame knee, plus 8 on normal hit. But the big thing about this is that 1, it's -7, which isn't that high of a minus for the move, that for the things that it does, right? I would imagine maybe -9, but it's -7. And when it comes to this being -7, it also means that the mind games after it are stronger, which is this right here, right? So this is a string, back 4 2. Back 4 2 is -12, but that means that just back 4 becomes that much stronger. Because that -7 now will have a mind games because you're respecting the 2 here, and the 2 here is very delayable. So it's either fast like this or delayed like this. I think you can delay it even more, right? Very, very delayable. And there's also a third hit. But the good thing about the third hit is that you cannot delay it. So the Asuka player cannot delay the third hit no matter what. Has to commit. But you can just delay the second one and then do the third hit, right? So the mind game here is very, very simple. You either respect the back 4, right? Just respect it. You can't even move, by the way. I'm just trying to move. Okay, I just sidestepped it. But let's say I get hit because I sidestepped the wrong side or sidestepped wrong. So this is natural, right? This is not a countered combo. The second one to the third one is natural if you get hit by the second one, no matter what. And that's a wall splat, so you have to be very careful at the wall. But if you do block it, -16 and you get a launch. I messed up the launch there, but you have to try to electric this. You can't let the Asuka player get away. Basically, when the back 4 gets blocked, you have to be ready for it. Just be ready to block the whole thing and then electric it. Obviously, right? You can also do a down forward 1-4 if you feel like it, or if it's like enough to kill. Down forward 1-2 is also possible, especially if you have heat, you can like launch with it. So be aware of that. So that's one mind game, right? Just from back 4, if you try to move or do anything, that might hit you. The second mind game is back 4 2. So back 4 2, as you guys can see, it's -12. So it is punishable. You can punish this move. But my biggest minus of this is that the third hit might hit you if you try punishing this. So let's say I try to punish this, right? It's a punish. Back 1 2 is a good punish. You can also 1+2 here, if you feel like it. But the big problem about this is that if you try to punish it, you will get hit by the last hit, right? It's kind of possible, so technically it is possible to actually wait a little bit and then punish it. And you're gonna still not punish, but block the third hit anyway. But I don't think this is possible on like either bad connections or if you're just, you know, not sharp enough. So you have to be very careful about stuff like that. It's basically a mind game. Because usually you can react to them not finishing the string because this is not delayable, right? Sometimes it's possible. But yeah, be very careful about this. And think about back 4. So let's transition to the next move as well, and I'll mention the back 4. So the next move I wanted to mention is forward 4. So this is the Asuka go-to tracking move, which is basically one of her best moves. You can treat this kind of like a semi-electric that doesn't launch, right? This doesn't launch, but the reason I say semi-electric is because it's a high, right? Reaches very, very far. Very, very far reach. I'm pretty sure it has way more reach than electric does. But the thing is, it's slower than electric, and it has full tracking. I guess, to be honest, I remember there's a semi-electric from Tekken 7, but it's different. I think this game is way, way different. So forward 4, forget what I just said about the semi-electric. It's a high that's +3 for Asuka, right? It's a tracking move, basically stops you from sidestepping. This is the move that they use, because, you know, it's plus as well. And if you get hit, let's say you get hit, she gets a very easy pickup. I don't know if that's the pickup there. a mini dash into this, into, I don't know, this maybe. I'm not sure. Whatever the pickup is. It's pretty easy, by the way. Like, I've never done this before. I've just seen someone do it. And I can do it anyway. So it's not that hard. Yeah, maybe something like this, right? So decent damage and a normal hit launcher. So no matter from how far this hits, you can just do a mini dash into this and it will work. Most of the time it will work if you do it correctly. If you're an Asuka player, I think you should be, you know, practicing this like this a little bit. Because it's not that hard. Yeah, there we go, right? It's pretty good. Or if you feel like, okay, I'm not gonna do that, you get this for free. This is free, and you get a free stack on the Gusto or whatever it's called, right? And that stack is strong, so maybe you would want that. But if you want to like play optimally, just get the launch. Mini dash into that, like why not, right? And maybe you're gonna get a wall like doing something like this, whatever, right? Asuka players, they get a lot of things basically from forward 4 on normal hits, so that's not even counter. It doesn't have a counter property because the normal hit property is so damn strong. Why would it need the counter property, right? But now let's talk about the block property. So the main way you know, beat this, obviously, is you either duck it because it's a high and then punish it, or space it so it whiffs, like something like this, right? But it's gonna be very hard to make this whiff because it has infinite range. You see that, right? That's like 2.8 range, something like that. Infinite range. Maybe more. So it's very, very hard to space this correctly with backdashes. So you're going to be blocking this most of the time. So what to do on block? What happens on block? So on block, it's +3 for Asuka, as I already said. So what happens here usually is Asuka players either jab with like something like this, right, for more pressure and just to check you as well. That's one thing, right? Or the other thing, which is also pretty common, is a back 4. So forward 4 into back 4 is a very, very common thing Asuka players do. The reason they do it is because it tracks to their right side. Not their right side, but it tracks to their sidestep right. Like, it's hard to sidestep this. It's possible, I think, but it's very hard to sidestep. Yeah, there you go. It is possible there. Especially if you sidewalk, it will work. But sometimes it won't. So yeah, pick and guess. Not pick and guess, just choose, I guess. Choose your option. And hopefully it will work. But sidestep left is gonna be your option for back 4. The reason they do back 4, by the way, is because it's a counter launcher, as I already said. So if you try to do something slow, like jab would work, right? Or if you try to do magic 4 or 12 frame move in general, you will get launched. So that's the thing about the back 4 there. And as I said, back 4 also has a mind game, so you have to be careful. So basically, Asuka players either check you because of the plus frames, like with a jab maybe, or try to counter launch you if you do something slow. Or they might do this again, like just do it twice. If you try to sidestep. Let's say you're doing this. It's Asuka players doing this, right? And you're trying to sidestep immediately. They will do that. If you sidewalk, you're gonna get hit. That's why sidestep blocking is so good after this, right? If you sidestep block, you can react to the back 4 on a whiff as well and then punish it. So sidestep blocks are going to be one of the best things you can do after this. But, as I said, sometimes you have to press. You can't let the Asuka player always just pressure you. Because Asuka, and especially in this game, pressure is very scary. Asuka is a 50-50 machine. She's basically another casino character. So, you have to be very careful of something like this makes, this, you know. This as well, especially in heat. Horrible in heat. So, yeah. Be very careful. Or you might see something like this into down back 1 if you're jabbing a lot because, you know, it's -3, as we said, you can jab to back 4. So they might do this. This is also very common, by the way, this into down back 1. The reason it's common is because it's not jabbable, right? And it's also kind of like a frame trap. Because usually fast moves are highs, so it's basically a frame trap. The only thing you can do against this is a down jab, if you want to, you know, press. But also a big plus about this is that it fucking tracks. So the thing about this move is that you cannot do anything about this. Like forward 4, down back 1, fucking tracking. You cannot do shit. Maybe you can sidewalk it. No. Yeah, maybe you can sidewalk it. Yeah, it's sidewalkable. But it tracks really well when you normally sidestep. It didn't that time. Why not? Sidestep right. Okay, I think I just found something. I don't know why it keeps hitting me sometimes. Maybe it's up because of range. It's the range. So if you're far away, I think that's the point. If you're far away, you can sidestep right. Then punish this. But if you're close up, sometimes it'll still track you. Yeah, there we go. So sidestep right block will win against this, and sidestep left block would win against back 4. But I think even against back 4, sidestep right block can be okay, right? I think that's a good option, sidestep right block. Like, the thing is, it's annoying because it sometimes still hits you, but sometimes it won't. Yeah. Nah, it's horrible. It's horrible, bro. But yeah, down back 1 basically tracks to the left, and this tracks to the right. It's horrible. Holy shit. So you have to be very careful about what your options you choose. That's why sometimes you have to down jab to annoy the Asuka player, you know. You can't always choose a sidestep duck option or sidestep left option and stuff like that. It can be very annoying to deal with stuff like this. But down back 1, at least as I already explained, is punishable. So if you do block it and they don't finish it, you can punish it. Okay. So that's about that. When it comes to, you know, pressuring with that situation. I think that's about it for forward 4. Basically, it's used as a tracking move. Nothing too much else. I mentioned this as well. So let's mention the down back 2 really briefly, because this move, it won't be used that much. I'm gonna be honest. But this move can be used in the same way as down back 1 is used, because, you know, high crushing, and it's a normal head launcher. But as I said, it won't be used that much because down back 1 exists. And down back 1 is just better because it's less risky. Way less risky. And it's also not punishable, right? As much, anyway. And it has mind games. Unlike this, this is just straight up punishable, -11. So this also works for high crushing. The Asuka player can also use sidestep 2 for like many situations. But now let's talk about one of the most annoying moves to deal with, outside of her parries to be honest, is power crush. So this power crush is a very strong tool. And I mean very strong tool for Asuka players. It's because it allows them to basically just spam this without much risk or much thought, to be honest, of, you know, I'm gonna get punished, I can't power crush. Usually you don't power crush because, oh, I don't want to get punished, right? There's the thought process behind not power crushing. But Asuka players can just throw it out whenever they want. They don't really care about anything because, you know, it's very fast. So not a lot of moves will beat it anyway. And it's safe, high, and a heat engager. With a million range. So it can be stepped, that's the main weakness of this move, right? It has two weaknesses. One's a high, you can duck it. 2, you can step it pretty easily. But outside of that, this move is very strong. Very strong. Because all of your pressure situations basically become nulled because of this move. Well, not only this, because of the parries as well, obviously, but this is one of those situations. And one of the most common setups for this is this right here. 1, 1, 3, power crush. Very common. And the reason behind that is that this power crush is also crushing. It crushes highs. You see this, right? So normally you would be able to jab out of this. A jab would be possible. But no, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Right? Technically what you need is an 11 frame mid here, which doesn't exist if you want the checker. That's why after 1-1-3, sidestepping is such a good thing to do. But the mind game with Asuka is I'm gonna 1-1-3 into this, I'm gonna 1-1-3 into forward 4, 1-1-3 into another 1-1, right? A lot of mind games here if you start sidestepping after 1-1-3. But sidestepping is still a good idea. Definitely a good idea because of that setup. You can also duck, but way riskier. You know, why duck? You can just sidestep. Okay, so that's about that setup. There's a few more. I think Asuka players sometimes do this as well, like -3 to power crush. You can also do some other stuff. Like, I don't know. Down forward 1, power crush. Down forward 1, 2, power crush. Like this kind of setups. It can definitely happen. So you have to be careful about this power crush. Okay. Now, since I mentioned down forward 1, let me just briefly mention it. So down forward 1 is her 13 frame check, which is -3. It's a little bit more months than generic down forward 1, but it's still not that bad. The thing about this move is that it tracks really well to one side. It doesn't track to the other side. So usually you do sidestep with Asuka to the right. Usually. Because down forward 1 will track really well to the left. I mean, it can track to the right sometimes as well, which can be very annoying. But usually not, right? Usually you step to the right. If you sidewalk, it's going to be even better. But as I said, sidewalking Asuka is very scary because of this move. It's a fast, high that, you know, tracks and launches on normal hit. Very scary. Very strong move. But yeah, down forward 1 is the generic down forward 1, which is a little bit more minus than normal. But it has 2 follow-ups. Down forward 1-4 is the mid follow-up, and down forward 1-2 is the high follow-up. So the follow-ups basically create a mind game after down forward 1 when you either duck or just stand still because of the mid. And Asuka can just continue pressure, which is the generic down forward 1 mind game which have follow-ups. Which is how it is. As long as down forward 1 has good frames, by the way, that's when the mind game works. Like, our down forward 1 can be similar because we have the follow-ups, but our down forward 1 is very minus. It's minus 7. So that's why the mind games on our down forward 1 when it comes to Kaz doesn't work as well. It's something like this would, or some other ones, right? That are less minus. Okay, or at least a -5 or lower, right? Something like that. It can still work. So, yeah, that's very, very important to realize. So you either duck this, by the way, this right here, or you just stay patient so you can block this and punish it. So this is punishable. Also, as I said, this is a setup. This. So if you do block down forward 1-2, don't think that it's your turn. It's -3. This is -3 and this is also -3. So yeah, be careful. If you press something, you're gonna get power crushed. Parried. Back 3 maybe, right? So yeah. Setup. Asuka has a lot of setups when it comes to stuff like that. Okay, what I just mentioned, I just forgot. But yeah, the power crush setup after that move. Yeah, I just remembered. So yeah, be careful about down forward ones, the down forward one. But other than that, there's a lot of stuff, like a lot of strings you have to worry about as well, like this for example, which is very similar to the 1-1 string. And the thing about the 1-1 string, I would kind of advise you guys to look into it more than me just saying it, because it has a lot of follow-ups. Like this follow-up, for example, right? In this follow-up, I think can be cancelled. Yeah, it can be cancelled as well. So there's a lot of mind games here. This cancel into wall standing 1, this cancel into the down forward 2. So these kind of cancels when it comes to like leaving Asuka in crouch, there's a few, like back 1 is one of them. A lot of Asuka players will usually down forward 2, which is the full crouch low move here. Only -11. And the good thing about this move is that the counter property is very strong, right? Something like this into this is 100% guaranteed. So at the wall it's gonna wall splat, and outside of the wall it's gonna give it a free stack with like 1,000,000 damage. Like it's still gonna be a very, very good damage. So something like this, there you go, 65 damage, right? It's still pretty damn good. So that move is very strong. So that's why you have to look out for it. So this kind of cancel down forward 2 works. Cancel down forward 2, very common. Like this kind of stuff. I'm not sure if I remember all the cancels that can be done. Like I think she can snake edge as well. And then cancel that. Yeah, something like that. So yeah, beware of those kind of setups. Okay, what else? Before I go to lows, I want to think of any other mids that I want to talk about. Maybe back 3. So let's mention back 3 a little bit and then let's go to the lows. So back 3, as I mentioned at the start, is the kind of mid that will basically keep you out and be used in panic situations for the Asuka player. When the Asuka player is like, oh, I don't know what to do, they just back 3. Or I'm scared of maybe they're gonna mix me up, I'm just gonna back 3. Right? And the thing about this move is that it's very low risk. And the reason it's very low risk is because of the pushback that it has. Even though it's -19, right? It's actually possible for you to dash electric this, but it's very hard. As you guys see, I'm just messing it up. There we go, that was a punish. It's possible to do this. But the reason that you shouldn't try this, even though it's possible, let's say you have like a 100% guarantee that you're gonna do this every time. You still shouldn't try it. The reason behind it is because this exists. So back 3 has a follow-up low, which high crushes. So you will not be able to punish this with any kind of high if you want to like stay consistent, right? So that's why if you want to punish this consistently, use either forward 3 or forward 2. Forward 2 being the harder option because you have to time it correctly, you have to do it fast. And forward 3 being the easier option. Or if you're feeling it, just down forward 2 and countered launch if they do mash this. But as I said, they don't always mash. And down forward 2 won't work on a normal back 3 without the follow-up. So forward 3 is your best option. This right here. Back 4 would also work if they don't high crush. So yeah, forward 3. Which really sucks because for a move like that, it's like nothing. The punish is like nothing, right? So yeah. Be very, very aware of that. Very annoying to deal with. And even if you sidestep it, it's gonna be hard to punish. Unless you're very ready for it. As I said, even on the whiff, she can just go in high crushing mode, like this. That's on whiff. So an electric won't always work. Okay. So that's about back 3. Now let's go to the lows. So the main low that Asuka has is down back 3. So down back 3 is something like a Kazuya down back 4 in a way, right? It's the same frames, even the plus frames are the same. The big difference here about this down back 4, down back 3, is that we recover standing, not standing, crouching. Right? Unlike ours, which makes them recover standing, this makes them recover crouching. Which means one of our sidesteps are sealed. So if I'm P wide, I won't be able to sidestep to the right anymore, right? And this is, I think, very strong. Very, very good. Because Asuka players can utilize this and start using moves which track on the other side instead. Like the thing about this kind of moves, we have something similar with forward 4 as well. But it's not as useful, in my opinion, because we can't really have a lot of mind games when it comes to stuff like this. It's Gaz, but Asuka can. But yeah, it's a very, very good move because of a lot of properties. 1, it's 17 damage, pretty damn good, right? 2, counter it, plus 14, also pretty damn good. It's not really seeable. Sometimes you can react to it, but it's very hard to react to this. It's 20 frames, right? And it's the low that reaches very, very far. Pretty damn good. It has a weakness, don't get me wrong, right? The thing about down back 3 is that it can be stepped. So sidestep right, as I said, is the main way you have to sidestep Asuka, and sidestep right also beats this low. Which is a big difference from down back 4, which has decent track. You can't sidestep it that easily. So that's a big weakness of this. Even though it has one good thing, which is better than our down back 4, which is forced crouch, the other bad thing is that it can be sidestepped way easier. Okay, so down back 3, also I forgot to mention the block frames. When you do block this, if I remember correctly, it's 12. It is 12, so you can just do 1.44. I was thinking if it's 11 or 12, but yeah, it is 12. So while saying 4-4 is going to be your punish, or you can also low parry it, but usually you're going to be blocking it, right? Usually. Okay. So that's about down back 3. The way you beat it is, you either block it, or you sidestep to the right. And when you do get hit by it, you have to be very careful. Very, very careful. Because this plus 4 situation into back 4 can just counter launch you, right? This into back 4 can be common. Because if you try to while standing 4 here, let's say I try to, you're going to get launched, right? If I do anything slower, a launch. You can sidestep this, so it's not the risk-free for the Asuka player to do this, or you can even backdash it because of the pushback. But you can get countered, so you have to be careful. Okay. And down back 3 into down back 3 can work. Down back 3 into just pressure with a mix-up, like something like this, can also work. So yeah, be aware of stuff like that. So down back 3, main low. The other low, which is also very, very scary, is down 1+2. Not this one. This one. So down 1+2 is basically a hell sweep. This is the Asuka hell sweep. So this happens, and then free stack into the stack stuff. I'm going to talk about stack stuff a little bit later, when I also go into heat, because it's basically the same thing. But yeah, stack, very, very scary. Asuka with a stack is very scary. I almost forgot to mention this move. How did I forget? So yeah, I'm gonna mention this after this. So this move, basically the hell sweep. But the big difference of this is that Asuka player has to be close to you, right? In Tekken 7, this move had a weakness that if you're backdashing enough and this hits you anyway, 4-2 didn't used to work. But right now, 4-2 is just guaranteed. Or if the Asuka player wants to, you can just do this. Oh, that doesn't work. I thought that was possible. But 4-2. It's very, very easy to do this now. I think it's way easier. Asuka players, what they used to do was something like this, dash into it. But I think just 4-2 works way easier. So, yeah. It's a hell sweep, right? You're gonna get flipped into another mix-up. So, you don't want to get hit by that. Be very, very careful when it comes to Asuka 50-50. Because this gets mixed up with 1+2. If they want bigger reward, they will mix it up with this. Normal hit with launcher, right? Decent damage. Into whatever, I don't know. So yeah, it's gonna be decent damage if you get hit by this. So beware of stuff like that. Now let's mention the thing that I just forgot about, which is 4-4-3. Can't believe I forgot about this move. So this move is basically the go-to move for Asuka to check you from mid-screen. This move does not whiff. If this whiffs, it's a Christmas miracle. So this has the range of something like 3.5, right? Crazy range. It's a very, very long range move, tracking mid, plus 11, right? But the biggest thing about this is that it's a safe move. It's -9. So no matter what, you will not be able to punish this, obviously. And even though it's -9, you still have to be very, very careful about, you know, trying to pressure or trying to mix up Asuka players. You can like check her with like fast mids, that's definitely doable, or fast highs. But think about fast highs. Let's say jab, right? Is that it can be ducked, obviously. I was just checking if the auto duck here will work against the jabs. I didn't remember, gotta be honest. But yeah, it doesn't work. But yeah, it can be ducked, or it can be beaten by various means, basically. So you have to be very, very careful. But the big thing about 4-4-3 is that all this is guaranteed on counter, right? So basically, free stack. Very, very strong for a tracking mid that reaches from Narnia. So, yeah, be very careful about that. 4-4-3 is a very strong move. The main way you deal with it is you pray that it whiffs. Because if you don't pray, it's not gonna whiff. Because as I said, it's a Christmas miracle. So, 4-4-3, when you block it, just be aware of your options. It's -9. But yeah, it's Asuka. They can just do this. They can just parry. I don't know, down back 1, sidestep 2. They can do whatever they want. So yeah, be very careful about that. Oh, and I almost forgot that 4-4-3 does transition into crouch. So this is possible. This into something like this, like a Lost Hang 3, definitely possible. And this is very common. So the most common thing Asuka players do on hit, right now on block, is that if they hit this, they're gonna do this. 4-4-3 on hit into Lost Hang 1+2 is very common because you cannot do anything about this. Literally nothing. Even if you try down jab, it's gonna, you know, do that. You don't want that. The only thing you can do is power crush it. I don't know if you can parry it. Yeah, it's an elbow. You can't parry it. So this is an unbeatable move. That's why it's so common, right? On hit, that, you can't do anything. Power crush, only thing that you can do. So it's very strong. Okay, now let's talk about that move. I just remembered that move existed. That's the full crouch down forward 2, right? Or no, that's the full crouch 1+2. My bad. So the full crouch 1+2 is +13 on hit. And it's very, very common after this. For the reason I just showcased. Because it tracks, you can't interrupt it unless it's a power crush, countered launcher. And it's safe. Not only is it safe, it's -2, right? Crazy move. Amazing move. And it's... Look at the range, right? It's like 3-point-something range. Crazy move. So, this move is very, very common because of these reasons. And the thing about this move, which is very, very strong, is it's -frames. As you guys already see, it's -2. And this makes it very strong because of all the setups that Asuka players can do in these kind of -frames. Like this into down back 1, this into up forward 3. I don't know if that's doable, to be honest, or if they do it. But yeah, this into sidestep 2. This back 3, less common. I don't think this will happen that much. Or this into jabs, right? All these stuff can be like very, very easily done by Asuka players because they're only -2. And as I said, jab crush, you can't jab. Sidestep, this exists. If you don't do anything, you're gonna get mixed. So that's basically the mind game on Asuka players' side, that if you respect them too much, they'll mix you. If you don't respect them enough, they'll carry you, high crush you, power crush, right? This into this, for example. I'm pretty sure this is a thing as well. So yeah, be aware of stuff like this. It's very, very common. Okay, so that's about this move more or less. The thing about this is that it is steppable, but you have to remember that every time that this whiffs, let's say this whiffs, right? I almost forgot it's cancelable. I'm gonna mention that later. Every time this whiffs, let's say you sidestep it, it's usually better to punish with a mid than a high. I can't believe it changes sides like that. So down back one is gonna be your go-to punish. You can also down forward one. I'm not doing that on purpose, by the way, just changing sides. That's why it's doing it down forward one. But yeah, mid punish is preferable. No, just in case. Just in case this happens. So this, which I forgot was a thing to be honest, is also one of the setups that I said that when Asuka player cancels into a full crouch, this is one of them, right? They will do this a lot. And if they see you like ducking, they might mix up with this, not this, this right here, which is a safe mid mix up. So the full crouch mix up, I'm going to talk about it in a little bit. But yeah, whenever they cancel this, basically expect a full crouch move. Or they can just do it again. Like this and do this again, right? This is possible. Which is, I don't know, it's super dumb, but it's very possible. So, yeah, be aware of the cancel. And after 4-4-3, be aware of the 1+1+2 in general. Only thing that beats this is a power crush. You can also rage art, but yeah, I don't know if you want to risk that. Okay. So that's about that. Now let's mention the lows, right? I was at lows. So let's talk about the full crouch lows. I think that's like the best other lows that the Asuka has, which is the full crouch down forward 2, and the mix up forward, which is the full crouch down forward 3. Is there any other low that I'm missing? I don't even remember. There's down back 4, but I'll mention it after this. So let's talk about full crouch now. So the full crouch low, which is the down forward 2, this is basically the best low that Asuka players can do, with a very, very minimal risk, and a pretty decent reward when it comes to counter hit reward, right? So that's why it's so good for the Asuka players to cancel onto this, because if you try to like hesitate and then press a button, you're gonna get counter hit. So something like this might happen, not this. This into that, right? And what's gonna happen is, I'm hesitating, I press, let's say I press something a little bit late. Counter it, all this, guaranteed. And the Asuka player is just getting 65 damage off of me and the stack. So be very careful about stuff like this. This can happen on all of these cancels. All of them. That's why it's so good to duck and then stand up again. Or duck and then you have to guess. Right? If they do something like this, that's a mid. If they do something like this, that's a low. And the low, you can't really step this. So if you try to duck and then step, let's say something like this, right? 1-1-4, and you try to step this. I duck, step it. You will not be able to step it. It just tracks really, really well. Very good low because of that. But the 0 on hit is something that's worth remembering. Gotta remember that. That's why if Asuka players do this, they might do this again. You know, high crushing properties. They might do a sidestep 2. They might do up forward 3. I don't know, I've seen it like a few times, but I don't think this is that common, to be honest. Or they might do this into a parry. A lot of things. This into a high crush, not high crush, but crouch cancel power crush. Or this into the 1+2. There's a lot of stuff that can happen in that situation. So be careful about it. And the mid, this one. The minus of this mid is that it's steppable, so you can actually step this. So I messed up. So if something like this happens and they do the mid and you start stepping, let's say I duck, then I start stepping. You can actually sidestep this. That's the weakness of it. But it's safe. And not only is it safe, it guarantees. I think that's guaranteed. If not, this is 100% guaranteed. I'm not sure if this is guaranteed, but maybe it's not. But yeah, this into forward 2 is also guaranteed. So yeah, it's a pretty good move. It's a very, very good move. For a safe mid mix-up, pretty good. But it's not that scary to duck. I mean, it's not that scary to not duck. Like, this is not that, you know, it does 10 damage. It's okay. Whatever. So that's why I wouldn't recommend ducking that much here. Just eat the low sometimes. So other than that, I think that's about it for the full crouch game, more or less. Like, this kind of stuff is more like the punishment, right? But that's basically a stance, which is this. Which is that. So, I'm going to mention that a bit later. Now let's talk about down back 4 and all the variations on the down back 4. So down back 4 is a slow move from neutral, like it's 22. Right? It's pretty slow. Some people can even react to this, they duck it, punish it. It's minus 11 though. To be honest, it kind of looks like it's twin pistonable, which is minus 13, but it's only minus 11. So you can instantly punish it. But the thing about this, the second one, is that it's safe. So you cannot punish the second one. But fun fact, you can low parry it. So the thing about this is that it's very, very annoying to deal with because the second one's unpunishable. But it's low parryable. There are high follow-ups as well, so this is a high follow-up. Or a down back 4 for a high follow-up. But this is just stuff you have to lab and know. The important thing about this is that you can low parry the second low. That's the important part. But then the mind game starts, which if you start low parrying the second low after down back 4, Asuka player gets a, you know, pressure. Which how it works. Down back 4, you low parry, Asuka player will just mix you up. Maybe do something like that. Right? And also, one thing to be aware of is that after this, Asuka player have the option to either stay crouched or not. So down back 4, Asuka players can stay crouched, do a crouching mix like this into this, for example. Or just stay standing into a power crush, if they want to. So yeah, be careful about that. And the variations on down back 4 is usually something like this. Back to 4, which is usually used as a round ender. Or back to 1. Right, so this and this is used as a round ender. And it's a good round ender because unlike a 1 jab, it starts with a mid. Right, this is a mid startup, this is a high startup. So this will also work as a mix-up, so if they duck, they're gonna die. And then this will also work as a double mix-up. If they duck, they're gonna die. And if they don't duck, this will kill them. Alright? So yeah, be careful about this. And this also has the same strings, like the 4s. Exactly the same. And just like the normal down back 4s, let me just showcase this. The first one is minus 11, right? And the second ones are parryable. But they're not punishable. All of them are minus 7. Exactly the same properties. So yeah, be very, very careful about that. There are other stuff Asuka players would like to do as well. Like, I think this is a good move. It's kind of risky when it comes to being stepped, but I think it's still a good move. This is per +4. So you have to be aware of that. How did I forget can, bro? I just randomly pressed it. Okay. Now let's talk about the most annoying low that basically stops you from doing anything against Asuka in many, many situations. And it's this fucking can. So why is can a problem? So a lot of people do complain about can, but I think the biggest problem about this move, in my opinion, is that actually there are two things. One is the startup. I think it's way too fast. It's 14 frames, right? It's a 14 frame counter hit launcher that starts with a low. It starts with a low, so it's very strong. That's one thing. It's way too fast. Second thing that's a problem is that it's the fastest jump status move that exists in Tekken for both June and Asuka. So what do I mean by that? So what I mean by that is that usually jump status, if I remember correctly, starts at 9 frames, if I'm correct. But can is very different when it comes to that, and it does not start at 9 frames. I think it starts at 6 frames. So even if you do something like let's say a +4 move or a +5 move. No, +4 move. A +4 move into a jab, you will still float her. That's what I mean, right? Or if you do a +5 move into a 15 into a back 1, for example, like a 11 frame move, that's also float her. So what I mean by that is let me just block spam can. Is that if I do this +5 into back 1, this will float. That's a float, right? If I do a jab, it won't because it's the 6 frame star, but that's just how it works. Fuck my jab, I guess, just whipped. But back 1 will still float here. was messed up. While this will leave everyone else standing if they try anything else. Okay, let me try another jump stance move that Asuka has, which is a hop kick, right? I'm just gonna do the same thing and do a hop kick, which is another, you know, jumping move. I'm gonna do exactly the same thing. And as you guys can see, this actually makes them stay standing instead of going in the air. That's the difference between the jump stance move. So Asuka starts jumping from the 6th frame when it comes to Can-Can, and from the 9th frame, if I remember correctly, from any other jump move or any other character's jumping move. Except for Jun's Can-Can, they're the same Can-Can. So that's the big thing about this, that the jumping status starts way too early. It's a very, very important thing in my opinion. So what that means is that lows don't work against it. Lows will just get crushed way, way easier. Way easier. That, and you will get a float combo instead of a countered combo. Right? Imagine this. Let's say I do a move that's, I don't know, +9, right? And then do a down forward 2. So usually, not +9, +8, I'm the +8 move. There you go. And then do a down forward 2. Usually this will be a countered launcher for any hop kick, orbital, or anything, basically. Right? But then comes Asuka and decides to Can-Can. So if I do a jab into down forward 2 against the Can-Can, it's a counter hit, but it's an airborne counter hit. Right? It doesn't work. And this is a big problem. It's a big problem, which means the risk reward for Asuka is like, I don't know. It's very, very in her favor. Same with Jun. It's crazy. It's crazy strong. Because you can't counter hit her out of this. There's no counter launch for you. It doesn't exist. Even if you're +8, right? +8 into a 14 frame counter launcher, you will not launch her. It's impossible. It's an airborne hit. So what you have to do is pray that you know, float her in some way. Or if you're busted enough to have a down forward 2 that floats and still combos. There are some characters like that. You do a down forward 2 as a check. I think Asuka might be one of them. And then you can still combo or something like this, right? So, yeah. It's very, very annoying to deal with because, as I said, you cannot counter it. The only time you can counter that is maybe the +9 into it. Can I not? Yeah, there we go. +9 into it works. But yeah, good luck having like +9 and then down forward 2ing. Anything else doesn't work. So that's why against Can-Can, usually you don't try to counter it, but you have to try to either duck it, which I wouldn't recommend it to be honest, but usually sidestep right. Try to sidestep right, and if you're lucky, you will either entirely avoid it, or something like that will happen. And if something like this happens, it's punishable. This is -14, by the way. If I remember correctly, I already lapped this. This is -14. That's a punish. Let me check. 15. Yep, this is -14. If you're lucky, something like this will happen and you can punish it. But the sidestep right, as I said, is in general what you want to do against Asuka. Okay. Why did I talk about? Can-Can. Why am I forgetting? I'm an idiot. But yeah, be very, very aware of that. Now, I can actually start talking about the parries. So the parries and the setups for the parries. So the parries are very, very strong, especially these ones, right? This one and this one. So this is the leg parry, this is the punch parry. Both of them launch, by the way. I won't demonstrate them, but they're launchers. The thing to remember about these is that this is 0. I think it becomes +1 in some ranges. Maybe. Let's make it +1. There you go, I made +1. So yeah, it's 0. Usually it's 0, so you have to be very careful. But it's a high, you can duck it and punish it. The second thing, which is also important to realize about this, is that it recovers quickly on whiff. The whiff recovery it has, it's pretty quick. So you have to be careful and very fast when it comes to punishing this move if you, let's say, duck it or make it whiff or even sidestep it. So be careful about that. And the most common ways Asuka players use this move, by the way, is this punch parry, right? All of this stuff. Many stuff can work. Like this punch parry, this leg parry, exactly the same. The big difference from the punch parry and the leg parry is that the leg parry is mid. It's still safe, it's -9, which of course it is. But at least it's -9, right? And it's way more steppable than this parry. So, yeah. be aware of these. There's also the generic one, which is this, but you won't see this as much anymore. I don't know, Asuka players stopped using it as much. So, yeah. Those are the 3 pairs you have to be aware of. The most common situations being some of the strings I just described, or some of your plus frame situations. And for Kaz, let me just describe it for Kaz. For Kaz, your plus frame situations when you have to be aware of, for the parries or, I don't know, the bullshit in general, is this. They'll parry after this, they will can after this, they'll do whatever the fuck they want after this, right? Forward 4, exactly the same. They can also do a lot of stuff here. At least they're forced crouch, so, you know, it's a little bit better. Down back 4, they can do whatever the fuck they want. They don't care about the plus 4. And exactly the same when it comes to your heat dash. Plus 5, they can do whatever the fuck they want. The biggest problem is the can though, because as I said, you cannot counter it. You cannot counter it, launch a can in your plus situations. Unless you're plus 9 and do it on 4-2. That's the only situation. So it's fucked up. Even if I electric, it will still be a float, and then I have to pray that the float will give me a combo or not. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. It depends, right? So yeah, these are one of the most common situations you have to look out for that kind of stuff. The second thing I also want to talk about is Asuka's this stuff, the new stuff, the parry stuff, not parry, the throw stuff. So there are 2 things to talk about here. One is the mid here. So the mid, it's a hit engager that does decent chip damage, like 6 chip damage is pretty decent. And you have to remember it's a pure guess. So it's a 90 frame low or 90 frame mid. You're guessing here. There's no fuzzing, there's no shenanigans, you are just guessing here. If you get thrown like this, you're guessing mid or low. And the big thing to remember about the mid is that it's -3, and we all know -3. This is -3. We all know that. Like a punch parry, leg parry, normal parry, can, power crush, back 3, you name it, sidestep 2, all that stuff, it can be doable. Can be very easily doable after that. So yeah, good luck, I guess. And if you guess wrong, you're gonna be heat engaged. Let's say you don't block it, right? That's a heat engager. So yeah, good luck. It's very scary. And the low gives a guaranteed forward 2. I'm not sure if it gives a guaranteed forward 3 plus 4. It doesn't. So forward 2 is guaranteed there. And that means free stack. So that's one thing, right? Free stack. And the other thing is that it also deals pretty decent damage. It's also risk-free. It's very little risk. And some people might be always -13 could twin piston it. Well, I want you guys to look at this. Oh my goodness. No. It's -14, right? No. You just can't do it. I've labbed this before. You cannot twin piston this. It is impossible to twin piston this. Okay, I just did it. I think I just ducked into a forward dash. It just doesn't work. You just can't do it. Like, trust me, you just should not twin piston this. Your punish is either while staying 4-4 or while staying 1+2. If you're a god, you can also electric this. It's actually possible. But it's very hard. But yeah, I don't think I've done it before. It's possible to electric this, by the way. Damn it. There we go. That was a punish. But yeah, it's very hard. Very hard. If you want a very consistent punish, while staying 1+2 or while staying 4-4 is your go-to. Twin pistons just doesn't work. It's the same situation, by the way, when it comes to this. Exactly the same. Right? So yeah, be aware of that. Okay. Now let's talk about the heat stuff. So the heat stuff is basically the same as the stance stuff, by the way. So whenever Asuka has this stack right here, it's the same. So normally these kind of moves, like forward 1+2 and wall running 1+2, these are the kind of moves you would usually see when Asuka has either a stack or is in heat. You'll see it otherwise as well, like this move can still be used 100% even outside of heat, but usually you'll see it in heat. So the reason you will is because of the properties that it has. So when Asuka has a stack, basically same as heat, this becomes a normal hit launch, right? Not only that, it becomes fucking +11. So that's a +11 high, that's a normal hit launch. And this is not only in heat, by the way. As I said, this is just a stack thing. It's not a heat thing, it's a stack thing. So even if Asuka has a stack, this is still available. And this normal hit launcher here does a lot of damage. I'm not sure about the combo here, but even this, what I'm doing, which is most likely a dog shit combo, is like 72. So it's a lot of damage. Like if I do 2 of these, that's 57. That's crazy. So you have to be very, very careful of this. The reason this exists, by the way, is to stop you from stepping. This is the anti-sidestep tool. And the forward 1+2, this one, is the mid mix-up. It can work outside of heat as well, but usually you will see it in heat because it's also a normal hit launcher. It insta-tornadoes into, I don't know, whatever combo, but it's a normal hit launcher. And the reason it's so strong is because it's plus. It's +2. To be honest, I remember this being 0, but yeah, it's +2. It's crazy. Especially at the wall, it will be like super crazy. So you have to be very aware of stuff like this. So in heat, especially at the wall, let's say you just go to the wall, right? Let's just go to the wall. And the Asuka player is just pressuring you because, you know, she just did a combo on you. It can happen, obviously. So something like this is -18 at the wall, right? Because of the wall crush, wall stun, whatever you want to call that. That mechanic. This is still +2, but all this stuff is crazy strong because there's a lot of chip damage and the Asuka player is free to just do this on you, right? Or just check you with this. Very, very free to do whatever the fuck she wants. Very scary situation. Be aware of this kind of stuff. Oh yeah, and the other thing, which I really hate, by the way, this is one of the biggest things that I hate about Asuka, is that her heat smash, I forgot to record, right? Her heat smash is a jumping move. So what this means is that you cannot low it. There is no low checking this heat smash or down jabbing. If you think that you can down jab it, guess again, you cannot down jab it. You cannot down for it. This is basically an orbital, by the way. So it's a 50 damage orbital that's +10. I really hate this. I really, really hate it. You can sidestep it, so the weakness of this is that it's steppable. But you have to be aware of how you punish it. When it comes to either being at the wall or outside of the wall, just be aware. Yeah. So let's get outside of the wall again. So that's about heat. I guess more or less that's about heat. I'm pretty sure there's a lot more stuff that I can be, mentioning, but as I say, when it comes to the speed laps, I don't mention everything. I just mention some of the stuff that I know. How did I forget this? Oh my god. Okay, there are 2 things that I'm gonna mention, and that's gonna be it. So one is forward 1. So this I just forgot. So forward 1 is basically the main mix-up that Asuka players are gonna use if you're just not stepping or not doing anything. The main reason behind this is that it's a +5, 8 chip damage move, right? Crazy chip. Absolutely crazy. And not only that, on hit, it guarantees this. So on normal hit, basically deals 50 damage, right? So it's crazy strong. And the Asuka players also have the choice to just, not go with heat if they don't want to and just do this for even more damage. But in heat, it becomes super crazy when all of this is guaranteed. So, yeah, be very, very aware of forward 1. The main weakness of this move is that it's steppable. You can parry it as well, but I wouldn't recommend it. Especially since if you're not Jin, for example, right? And normal punch parry is not good enough punish. The main weakness of this is just stepping. It also recovers very badly. You can punish this as slowly as you want. Right? It recovers very, very slowly if it whiffs. That's the big weakness of this. But if the Asuka player is not scared of that and just doing it, and just mixes it up with forwards, doing this kind of stuff, it can be very scary. It can be very, very scary. Because, every time they forward 1, they can just, delay their timing and just forward 4, or just do it again, or then do this, or the down back 3. Yeah, be very, very careful when it comes to stuff like that. Like this and the down back 1 is also pretty common, right? Not on hit, on block. Just to check you. and beware of forward 1. So that, and the last thing I also wanted to mention is her wall combo. This is pretty common. So the thing about her wall combo is that you'll see a lot of Asuka players, or from what I know, there are some good Asuka players that do this, is that whenever they do a wall combo, which is this, okay, let me make him stop blocking, they will sometimes do this right here, this back 1+4. And the reason they do this, by the way, after this wall combo, is because this is something that you can't do anything about. That move is something you cannot do literally anything about. So let me record this, right? This into wall combo, into this. And this sequence, when you get wall comboed, even if you stay still, that hits grounded. So, right? That's a grounded hit. You tech roll, it will still hit you. Only thing you can do is block it. You can have to tech roll into a block here. And even then, it's safe. So this is a very, very strong thing that Asuka players do. And this is the reason behind it. You can't do anything about this if you want to like beat it. You can't low parry it, by the way. You don't have the frames to low parry it after your tech roll. So it's very, very weird to deal with this. Right? Very, very weird. And the thing about it is that whenever you block, even though it's -8, there are mind games for it. The mind games are the mid or the low. So even if you block it, then you still have to guess if the Asuka player is going to finish or not. If they're going to finish the low, you can still punish it. Not punish it, but press, to be honest. Like while staying 4, we'll check this, but this will catch you. And I'm not sure if you want this to counter it too. I don't think anyone wants this to counter it though. So something like this is what I mean, right? This right here. You don't want this to happen. You just don't. So yeah, be very, very careful about that sequence right there. Okay, but I think that's it, right? I think that's it. I might be forgetting something. Like I can't believe I forgot forward 1, for example, right? But I can't remember everything. It just happens. Sometimes it happens. So yeah, YouTube, thanks for watching. I think this took way longer than I thought it was gonna take. I'm gonna be honest. But yeah, thanks for watching once again, and till the next speed lap.